If the truth hurts, then AM 1050 KCAA can be a real pain.
Welcome to Smart Health Talk with your host, Elaine McFadden.
But we have lots of great information anytime you tune into Smart Health Talk, and we talk about a lot of things on this show that you probably don't hear anywhere else. And the reason is because food is big business, really big business, and people want to control that market so that they can hoard all of the profits for themselves on their products. But then we have like other companies, of course everyone knows about, the big chocolate companies out there. But then we have companies like Theo Chocolate, and it tells you about what a company is supposed to be about when you look at what they do. And just everything about this company is, to me, they're actually a role model for what a company should be, on how they run their company, how they give back, where they get their raw materials from. It's just really a great story. So I hope everyone's going to stick around for the whole story on Theo Chocolate, because I hope that we're going to be able to have Andy McShay from Theo Chocolate on through the end of the show today till 5 o'clock. So I hope he can stay. So Andy, are you there?
Yes, I am, yes.
Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to Smart Health Talk. Andy, everyone, is the COO for Theo Chocolate, and he's actually a molecular biologist. I mean, how does a molecular biologist end up as the COO for a chocolate company?
Well, what could be more fun, I think?
I'm telling you, that's why I'm asking. Sign me up.
Yeah, and a lot of there's a lot of science behind good chocolate making, and
I don't think people think about that. I don't think people think they think, you make the chocolate and then you're done. And
yes, but if you've ever seen a chocolate bar bloom, it's very important, for instance, to treat the chocolate in the right way so it doesn't bloom, it doesn't separate. If you take a chocolate bar that's been in the car and it's melted and you put it in the fridge, you'll find that chocolate bar separates, and it's never quite the same thing. So there's lots of little pieces of technology that are involved in chocolate making. Now, I think what if I've been following you correctly, I think that today's subject is more about sort of where technology has gone a little bit, should we say, sideways.
Yes, when it comes to like all of our some of these like favorite foods that we have that we try to treat ourselves with every once in a while, we'd like that to be at least one pure thing that we get to have during the day.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sort of technology is a sort of a yin and a yang thing. And one of our concerns that we have about food is really one of transparency, and we're very keen to educate and to inform folks about where their food comes from, how chocolate's made, for instance, where it comes from, some of the environmental concerns that are associated with agriculture, and some of the economic concerns also as well. We're very concerned about farmer livelihood and making sure that farmers can maintain control of their crops that they're growing. That it's their life. It's not the life of an organization that is trying to sort of, if you like, muscle in and take a chunk of their pie. They have a hard enough time as it is. So we're really trying to sort of, if you like, plow a slightly different field and develop a business model where we can offer a lot of education to the consumer, a lot of transparency, and also offer our farmers really a living wage by paying a lot of money, put very simply, for our cocoa. That runs somewhat differently to some of the more conventional models that are out there. And although technology can be used for good, it is not good when it's sort of hidden or obfuscated to the consumer, and that's really some of the concerns that we have.
Well, I was lucky enough to see it was like a mini documentary on your company. I don't know if it was like PBS or something like that, but what really impressed me is like when you go to the place where the chocolate actually comes from, and you see where it's grown, and you see the people that are there growing it, and what they do with it when it comes off the tree, and all the steps that are involved, even at that point where it's grown. It's just amazing. I think people don't even have a visual of what really goes into their food.
Yeah, and to some degree, it's a bit of an issue to do with some of the large business that's involved with food. In the same way that you might have packaging where you have very bright pictures of, I don't know, coconuts and raspberries and all sorts of interesting things on the packet, and then when you bite into it, it's sort of a disappointing taste. The same thing can happen with chocolate. Chocolate at some level has become this brown, sweet commodity, right? It's just this brown thing that you give out at Halloween. And that's a problem. When that occurs, and when people become disconnected from what they're eating and also the farmers that are growing the food, that leads to bad things, and that leads to problems. And what has happened in the chocolate industry has been an erosion of that livelihood, as there's been tremendous commodity pressure on cocoa farmers to the point where they can no longer make a living by harvesting cocoa. And cocoa is this beautiful fruit, absolutely beautiful fruit, multicolored pods that grow on a tree. It really is something you should look up on the internet. I mean, look up Theo Organic Chocolate or the cocoa tree, and just have a look at the visuals of this tree. This is the tree that makes chocolate. It's not brown at all. Well, I mean, the bark is brown on the tree, but the pods are not at all. They're in fact, the beans, the cocoa beans from which chocolate are made, are a beautiful shade of purple when they're cut in half and cut from the tree. And it's a really, really beautiful ecosystem. And somewhere between there, it sort of makes this transformation from this into a chocolate bar. And we're very passionate about making sure that people understand this sort of growth, from a wonderful farmed material that's very, very healthy, and how how these cocoa beans can be transformed into chocolate. So that's what we do. We do a lot of factory tours, and we have a plant, a factory up in Seattle. We have one factory in Seattle, and we tour up to 10 tours a day, and we educate people about chocolate. And during that time, we also talk about some of our values, and those are really three things. One is all of our products are made organically. They're made under the National Organic Program. Two is our products and our factory are fair trade, fair for life certified, and that's something that we think is very, very important because of a lot of inequities that have happened within the chocolate industry, especially concerned about child slavery. We're very concerned about these things.
Yes, I have heard about the child labor, and it's very upsetting.
Very upsetting, and really at the root of that is a problem with farmer income, and that's because there's been a tremendous amount of commodity pressure on cocoa. Quality has fallen, and it's just sort of turned into a bit of a train wreck because there's been tremendous pressure on cocoa farmers to produce, but to the point where they can't even subsist, and this has been driven.
And I have heard about that happening with tea as well, and it's almost like the big companies can manipulate the market in a way where, like, when they choose, like, when they buy it and that, and like somehow they can drop the price so that these people that are dependent on this for probably months of sustaining their family don't get enough money to give them food and shelter.
We're not fans of the commodity markets at all. I understand them. We study them. But we're not fans of commodity trading. It's not really something that generally serves the farmer's best interest. It was originally a mechanism that was put in there for manufacturing entities to shield against spikes in supply cost, and ultimately now has sort of turned into frankly a bit of a casino. And it's not something that necessarily serves the best interest of the farmer.
And isn't all this about the manufacturer, Andy? All of this stuff that we talk about, it's just all about the manufacturer.
Largely speaking, yes, but there's multiple parties in there. It's not only the food manufacturer. There is also, if we're talking about big ag, then there are also the large ag companies that are involved.
And the distributors too. The distributors.
Yeah. So there's multiple players in here, and this is what makes it complicated. We have these multiple folks in the supply chain. In fact, if you look in the supply chain, at classical supply chain of cocoa, it is remarkable how many people have invited themselves in there.
Everyone wants a little piece of the business.
Everyone wants a little piece of the pie, and the poor guy that's making
that makes the least, that takes the most risk.
Takes the least, right? And then everybody, and so you can see these supply chains with 7 people before it gets up to the.
It's still slave. To me, it's like slave labor that people are getting. That's how they're being treated. You know, we expect you to work. We're going to pay you hardly anything, and we're going to go make all the profits.
And there's no need for that. And I think
that's what I love about what you guys do is that you prove that. You prove that we don't have to treat people like crap and like still stay in business.
Exactly. There's really no need for it. And it can be done in a sustainable way where you can support the business in a way where people can have a job, they can have a stable company to go to, and what have you. So it can be done. We've proven that business model, and so that's a very important part. Fair trade.
Well, I have to cut you off there because we do have to take a break.
Sure.
But we're here, everyone, with Theo Chocolates. It's a wonderful organic chocolate, and I want to get into that taste thing when we come back a little bit. And some of the things that are interfering with the taste that are in there that people probably wouldn't like and may not know is in their chocolates. So everyone, if you're a chocolate lover, you are not going to want to leave us. So please stay tuned.
And now a word from our Smart Health Talk sponsors.
Hey everybody, it's Deuce from Clark's Nutrition and Natural Foods Market. Have you ever noticed that the word change is found in the word challenge? We have, and that's why we have the highest trained and most understanding staff around. They will assist you in picking out the freshest produce, finding the perfect supplement, or figuring out which cereal has the most fiber. Whatever you need to turn your challenges into change. Clark's, changing the way you shop for health day by day.
Naya, 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 recycle. Naya, 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 recycle.
Naya, Canada's most environmentally conscious bottled water, is very proud to announce that its already recyclable bottles are now made from 100% recycled plastic. Naya is the first bottled spring water in the world to do that. So in addition to its recycling activities, Naya uses no new plastic to make its water bottles.
Naya, Naya, Naya.
A natural source of progress.
Chia, a nutrition-packed seed that provided the foundation for ancient Peruvian civilizations, has been improved to deliver an even more nutrient-dense, nutritionally consistent food called salva. Full of health-protecting omega-3, salva is also an excellent source of fiber, protein, antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals. Its neutral flavor can be added to most all foods or just mixed with your favorite beverage and drink. Salva is non-GMO and gluten-free and saves food dollars by providing what you need in one simple seed. Salva, a food for a new, modern generation. A precious deposit that came from the mightiest of mountains, created from the strongest forces of nature, and lie hidden for 15 million years beneath the surface of a remote desert, has now been found. A mineral deposit like no other, nature in its most perfect form. Minerals are one of the key foundations of life and may not always be complete in food, but you can now have all that nature has to offer in one pure source. Ion Charge Minerals bring you 57 ionic minerals to nourish your body with the raw materials it needs to rebuild, revitalize, and help generate energy within every cell. Experience mineral power and the new energy and endurance that is yours when you give your body what it needs to build a stronger you. Visit IonChargeMinerals.com or go to Smart Health Talk website and find out how you can benefit from the power of minerals today.
Hey everybody, it's Deuce from Clark's Nutrition and Natural Foods Market. Have you ever noticed that the word change is found in the word challenge? We have, and that's why we have the highest trained and most understanding staff around. They will assist you in picking out the freshest produce, finding the perfect supplement, or figuring out which cereal has the most fiber. Whatever you need to turn your challenges into change. Clark's, changing the way you shop for health day by day.
Be sure to visit our website at smarthealthtalk.com. Welcome back to Smart Health Talk with your host, Elaine McFadden.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here with Theo Chocolate and the COO of Theo Chocolate, who's also a molecular biologist. So he's actually Dr. It's McShay, correct?
Yes, that's correct, Elaine, yes.
And so he's actually a doctor, a microbiologist that gets to play with chocolate all day. So how fun is
it's
that?
It's a lot of fun, I'll tell you that.
And, you know, I can still remember, like it was yesterday when I was with the county as a dietitian, and we got this newsletter. It was put out by this Medical Doctor Association, and they had like the very first study about chocolate being healthy. And I called up the editor of that newsletter and I said, do you realize you are sitting on a huge story? You guys have figured out that chocolate is good for you? Oh my gosh, you guys should be all over this. This should be like a big front page story on your next newsletter. So I knew what that would mean, that you could say, hey, we can eat chocolate and it's good for us. How great is that? But you know what you guys remind me a lot of after listening to you talk? It reminds me of the wonderful Theo that we had on our show from Global Gardens. And we taste tested balsamic vinegar and olive oils, mainly the olive oils. And it was so surprising how you could actually taste, she called it like the terra from the dirt, the different flavors in the olive oil, because you were talking about how everything is it's just like one flavor. There's no surprises in there. There's no wow factor. There's no like, oh, let me take just a small bite and savor it in my mouth so I can really try to break apart, you know, what kind of flavors I'm going to experience in there, and just really try to, you know, get into it instead of just stuffing it in our mouth and swallowing it and not really enjoying how lucky we are, you know, to have something like, especially if it's good quality chocolate. It's not something you're just going to put in your mouth and swallow. And we've lost the value in food. And I'm thinking that what you're saying is the chocolate can actually have these different flavors in it that come out of the place that it comes from the soil and everything that was grown in there, that you can actually experience that with chocolate.
Absolutely. There are lots of different flavors in chocolate, and if you don't do what big guys do, which is to blend it all together, you can really taste that. So we, for instance, had it's actually a new bar that's just come out. It's a Congolese chocolate bar, and you can really taste the flavor of the Congolese chocolate. This is a big project we're doing with Ben Affleck's group as part of the Eastern Congo initiative to promote trade with cocoa in Eastern Congo, and this is a big sort of exciting thing for consumers to try, because there's really not a lot of Congolese chocolate out there, and it's something
I saw that in the
about.
documentary, and I was like, oh my God, this man, he's like, not only is he out there, you know, making these like, you know, award-winning movies, but he's getting involved with your company and taking this on as a project, and I just thought, wow, that's pretty cool. He must be a great guy to work with, huh?
Yeah, I think what's exciting is this isn't charity in the sense that what we're trying to do is give these guys a lasting and sustainable business. You know,
that is so important. That is so important, and I think people don't realize that.
It's so important, and what we're trying to do is bring something to the market that is organic. It's fair trade. It's got a lot of social value and currency to it. There is a lot of unrest in Eastern Congo, and the one thing that is not disrupted is the movement of cocoa. It's not recognized as something you can just steal and sell in the marketplace. So we're developing that relationship, and we're making lots of exciting flavors. And yes, Ben Affleck has been very kind to us, and has been hopefully enjoying our chocolate bars, and that's been a lot of fun for us. And back to the issue of flavor, really what's important here in order to taste the flavor is also when we're making chocolate, we do it in a very pure way. We don't use additives. Chocolate is
What's
mainstream.
in there? What are some of the
Some of the common additives in chocolate are things like lecithin. That's a soy product. It's used to thin the chocolate out when it's being molded.
And we know that most of that's GMO right now.
Unfortunately, in the United States, that's the case. Yeah, most of the lecithin is derived from.
So most of your chocolate
GMO
bars,
soy.
everyone have GMOs in them. So just to let you know that.
So look on the back of the label. If you look at the ingredients and it says lecithin, or it'll also usually give an allergy warning as well for the soy. And we believe that soy doesn't belong in chocolate, so we don't have any soy products in our facility. You'll also see the more modern version now, which is called PGPR, which is never a good sign when a chemical gets an acronym. And that's polyglycerol polyracin oleate, and that's a modified compound from castor oil. And we don't use TBHQ either. That's usually used to preserve peanuts. If you are brave enough to buy your chocolate from a 7-Eleven, you can try some of those things. And just look on the ingredients label. It should be a very pure ingredient label. The other thing with chocolate is, and thankfully nobody has done this with cocoa, but I'm hoping this doesn't happen. There's no such thing as Roundup Ready cocoa yet, and I'm really praying that doesn't happen. But we are we're part of the non-GMO project, which means that not only are we promoting organic products, our products have a verified supply chain to indicate they're organic, which means they should not contain GMOs. It's also part of a testing program. The non-GMO project is about testing and ensuring that GMOs don't enter the supply chain. And really, although I'm a scientist at heart, and I've been very interested in microbiology and all of these things, and science can be cool, one's got to ask why and when it's used and sort of probe a little bit deeper. And I think any type of technology that promotes the use of pesticides is really rather questionable. So, Roundup
It doesn't
Ready,
make any sense to put poison in our food.
It makes no sense. And I would urge as a science guy, especially as you can tell, a European, I would urge an abundance of caution here around this matter in terms of it being used readily in the food chain. And so
to me, it's like going around and like punching yourself in the face all the time, or like trying to like self-mutilate yourself by eating poison.
It just seems a little bit risky, just to put it in an understated manner.
Who would voluntarily eat poison? It just, if someone put it in front of you and said, eat this, you wouldn't do it, but yet you're okay with eating it in your food.
And maybe to sort of bring this story home, do your listeners realize that for beet sugar in the United States, there is no more organic beet sugar? It's gone. Organic beet sugar in any significant quantity whatsoever, outside of making it in your kitchen, organic beet sugar has essentially disappeared in the United States and pretty much the world at this point. So in 2007, some of the last sugar refineries that were processing organic beet have closed down, and that has an impact on chocolate makers. Chocolate made with beet sugar has some nice taste qualities, and it's a tremendous loss to the industry, and that's really because there's been this gigantic push for Roundup Ready beets. And Roundup Ready beets now are a huge percentage of the U.S. market, and that seems unwise from a sort of a concept of making sure everything is safe and ready to eat.
Well, I really want to thank you, Andy, for joining us today. And everyone, please go, and it's theochocolate.com. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. It's theochocolate.com. Please buy a bar. They're available at Whole Foods.
At Clark's Nutrition.
Lots of flavor.
And you said, what was the new one you just came out with?
Oh, yes, it's the Congo bar. Look for the Congo bar.
The Congo bar.
It's delicious. There's one with vanilla and cocoa nibs, and there's another one with chili, if you're very brave, very spicy.
Okay, everyone, Theo Chocolate. You've got to try it if you're a chocolate lover, and see what real chocolate is all about. Thank you so much, Dr. Miche, and now I am like so hungry for your chocolate. I want to go down and buy some. So thank you so much for joining us, and everyone, go check out our website.
Be sure to visit our website at smarthealthtalk.com.